Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And that's why we're excited to be talking about organizational culture. We have with us Dr. Candace Warner, founder and CEO of people3. How are you doing?
I'm great, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this, so it's an honor to be talking with you today.
Well, you are a corporate sociologist, so I think this is in your wheelhouse. It's going to be a fun conversation for sure. So let's start, though, with a little bit of your background, because you come from academia and stepping in, obviously, and working with governments and businesses and nonprofits. And so give us a little bit of your background and what led you to launch people3.
Yeah, I love talking kind of about this story. I've been in higher education, a professor for, I actually was one for 20 years, but in the middle of all of that, I actually got into this work by accident. And so happened to have an opportunity where I could essentially teach what I had been teaching in the classroom, which was related to culture and gender and a variety of topics, cultural competency, also other topics like crime and social issues. And I had the opportunity to start coaching and doing some training in the private space and just loved it and just found a way to channel some of that academic work and that sociological focus into the corporate space. And then fast forward, I did that as a contractor for a while with another company, and then just kind of had a different vision for people3. So I formed people3 8 years ago, and we've learned so much, we've grown so much, and still having fun every day.
So go ahead and describe the work you do, because you're based in Middle Tennessee. You've got team members in various parts of the country. So talk about what you do at people3.
So our primary areas that we work with organizations on are consulting, and this could be anything from a document that they want created, or they want us to look at their previous employee survey results, or sometimes it's policies they want us to take a look at. We also do a significant amount of training. So in the last year, one of our most popular training requests has been for generational diversity. We do cultural competency training. We do inclusive organizations. We did one the other week on allyship. So we do a variety of trainings. We customize that for everyone. And then our third bucket is research, which is near and dear to my heart. So we have our own surveys. We do a lot of focus groups, a lot of discovery interviews. So those are our sort of big areas, but we also do some coaching, mostly with leadership teams, to just help ensure they're creating great workplaces for their people and to guide them through any challenges that they're working through.
Obviously, a company and organization comes to you with an idea of a challenge that they have. What are the questions that you're like, what are the questions you like to ask? What are the things that you're looking at that kind of get to the root of what the other issues might be and where you need to really navigate through this with this journey to create success? So in other words, when you're stepping in with a client in the first, phase of this, what are the questions you're asking? What are the things you're looking at?
Yeah, great question. We start every engagement with what we kind of call the research discovery phase. So we really try to understand their industry. We work across a variety of industries, from construction, engineering to, like you said, nonprofits, government agencies, but also tech companies and professional organizations. So we really dig in to understand the industry and why they want this work. What is it that's important for them? We obviously want to know what success looks like for them, but we really dig in. We try to talk to a lot of people, not only human resources, but leaders, mid-level managers. We always want to talk to the CEO, so we want to talk to employees. So we want to say, what do you want? What is great about this organization, but what could make it better for the people here? So we really start with that discovery. We ask a ton of questions, and really try to truly align what we present to them with their industry and with their current values. So usually every organization already has a list of sort of people-focused values. So we try to dig into that and align whatever recommendations we have with what their goals are. And usually, Jeremy, it is hey, we feel like we have a great place to work, but we want to make it better. Do we have any blind spots? Is there anything that this survey that we did last year is telling us that we need to look into? So we just kind of help navigate and investigate and try to understand just what can step it up a notch. But almost all of the organizations we work with are fantastic. They just usually want to step it up a notch, with their people focused work. So.
Absolutely. Well, and to your point, I mean, they're looking for opportunities to be successful and to, be more successful. And so it's like you always want to evolve and get some outside coaching and some outside insight to make sure you're performing at your best, having a good coach.
Yeah. And when you focus on people in your workplace, we're very much passionate about this work. I've dedicated my life to this work. I'm, of course, very passionate about it, but I'm also a business person, and it does matter for the business. If you've got folks in the organization that feel good about being there, they are engaged, they're happy, they feel like they belong, they feel like they matter, they're going to do better work. So it does matter for business. It's a win-win. And most of our clients are passionate about the work, but it does help their businesses, and it helps their organizations if they're nonprofit or government as well. It helps them just be more effective in their work.
You mentioned a lot of training. Let's touch on a couple of tips in different areas, because I think when you look at organizational culture, just like you alluded to, there's a lot of areas. And so let's start with the generations, because you have so many generations now in the workplace coming together. Each one of them brings different expertise and a way of looking at things, different perspective. Share maybe one or two tips or recommendations around different generations in the workplace.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I should have this memorized because we've been doing a lot of this training. I will say first and foremost, where we like to start is, and this is going to be counterintuitive to almost the question, but I'm getting there. But we actually like to talk to people about what generations have in common. They all want to feel valued. They all want to be recognized for their work. Do we all have communication styles? Sure. But even if you're talking to, I'm a Gen Xer, so let's say you're talking to 5 Gen Xers, there may be variations in how each of us prefer to even communicate. So we actually try to take out some of the broad perceptions about generations and really say meet a person where they are individually as much as you can. However, we know through research that there are some patterns. Baby boomers and Gen Xers have a different way that they might want to communicate. They might want to talk on the phone more than, let's say, someone who's 23. There's just different ways, even on my own team, like in early days, I'm an emailer because I'm a Gen Xer. I want to talk on the phone and I want to email. But my team is like, should we use Slack? Should we, So what I like to say is learn from each other. So I have learned so much from my Gen X and millennial employees. I hope they've learned something from me. So I think focusing on the commonalities, we all want to communicate. It just might be the mechanism in which we communicate and how we communicate. But everybody across every generation wants to feel valued for their work. They want to be heard. It just may kind of take some different forms in the way that shows up. But we try to level set with that. And also, so many aspects of our history and background shape who we are. And that's not just generation, that's everything about us. And so just kind of keeping in mind that just because a person is from one particular generation, they also are a product of their culture. They are shaped by their racial and ethnic identity. They are shaped by gender. They are shaped by their economic background. We're big, proponents of like all of the layers of a person matter.
Touch on maybe one or two around this kind of hybrid work environment, in person, remote. How do you build culture? How do you bring people together in a place where they might be separated through technology, but yet connected through technology, working remotely? Yeah. So what's one or two around that?
Oh, goodness. That's $1 million question. I think if you do have a virtual remote, you do just have to stay really plugged in the day. We build in, we're a remote company in many ways. So while I'm based in Middle Tennessee, we have consultants all over the US. We have 2 globally. So we do have to work to really stay connected, communicate via email. We use a lot of technology for that, but weekly check-ins where we can see each other's faces. And then if you are remote or hybrid, just building in some times that you can get together in person. It's always challenging. challenging. But I do think there's a lot of challenges that organizations are going through with that. The organization has to do what is best for their business and what makes sense. But whether that's in person, if they are in person, make sure it's impactful, make sure you're building in some time there, because people still don't want to go in person and still not have a connection, just like they don't want to be virtual and not have a connection. So building in those touch points and those connection points, I think, are critical no matter what form it takes.
Yeah. When you look at all these kind of trends and things that circle around or obviously are dead center for organizational culture, I'm thinking like AI and all these things. Mm-hmm. What are one or two in a positive way that really have your attention as a trend? So in other words, what are you kind of focused on looking ahead that are positive opportunities to impact organizational culture?
Oh, that's a great question. We use AI pretty significantly. So I would say, I think that definitely has some cons, but and I think every organization is working through that. But I do think it can help provide some ideas. I don't think it's necessarily a replacement piece. I think it's a value add is the way we think about it and the way we use it, and just kind of helps us think of, like, we have blind spots too, and we kind of do a lot of this work. So what are our blind spots? What are we not thinking about? What are we missing? So I think using that in positive ways. The other thing I think that's happening, Jeremy, just from like a people experience, is in the last so many years, not only have organizations focused more on inclusion, belonging, culture, all those things that matter, but they've really taken a hard look at pay. They've taken a look at benefits. So one of the things that we see a lot of organizations doing is like, how can we create this great environment that includes all of these pieces? Because future candidates, employees are looking for, how is this organization different? Am I going to feel great here? How am I going to be supported? So I think benefits, looking at pay, and organizations really digging in on the data to sort of say, are we doing everything that we can? Is there anything that we could be doing better? And that's what we're also seeing in our surveys, is that clients want to know, what do our employees want? What matters to them?
Is purpose and serving in the community, volunteerism, a piece of that still? I know that was a major piece for a long time, is individuals looking at companies saying, hey, I want to go to work for a company with a higher purpose that's giving back in the community, that allows me to go and serve in the community and not have to do it on the weekends, during my free time, but I can do it, with modified schedules or paid volunteer time off. Like, do you see that still as a trend?
I do think that's still very important to at least many of the organizations that we're familiar with. And I do think organizations have tried to navigate whether they offer that as paid or whether they offer that as sort of flex time. I think most have come to some agreements about that, as well as, for example, employee groups. Like, there are a lot of internal employee resource groups and business groups and committees that do a lot of outside engagement. They want to impact the community. They might work specifically with a nonprofit. And so those employee resource group or business resource group leaders have advocated and said, we are helping build brand recognition, so it's part of our work, and we're also passionate about it. But it is a win-win for both the organization and the individuals that are part of those groups that are really passionate about doing that community work. So I have seen a shift with more organizations saying, you're right, you got 8 hours, go make a difference. That's perfect. That's great. And ensuring that people feel compensated and valued for that. So I've definitely seen a change. When I first started doing this years ago, that wasn't always the case. So I've definitely seen that tick up, and I still see that. I still see organizations wanting their employees to engage with the community.
Touch on how you've changed and evolved as a leader doing this work.
Oh gosh, we don't have enough time in this interview for that, Jeremy, but I will say, when I first started people3, I was by myself. Like, we joke that, everybody says there are 3 people there, and I'd say, no, just one. And she's the but she's the executive assistant. She's the head of marketing. She's the consultant. She's the trainer. So for 3 years, I was kind of on my own until I got the business to a point revenue wise where I could start hiring team members and I would contract with folks. But I've certainly had to adapt my own leadership style. I'm a pretty autonomous worker. So it's actually hard for me to ask people for support. So I've had to navigate that and let go a lot more. And what's helped is really me getting great team members that I trust 100%. And it has helped me let go a little bit more. But when you were so used to doing everything on your own and then to let go, it's hard for many leaders, especially entrepreneurs that are starting out really small, because you just have to be scrappy and do it all on your own. And then you can evolve. But certainly, one of the best things I've ever done and one of the hardest things I've ever done is run a business. So it's got its challenges, because not only am I running the business, but I also am the lead consultant. I do the work. So I'm wearing a lot of hats. But I love it. It's just at times there are challenges, but I have a great team and they make things really a lot easier for me now. And that's been a growing process, but a good one.
Wrap up with where we can go to carry this conversation forward. So website, social media, where do we go to connect in with you and your amazing team at People3?
Yeah, perfect. People3.co. We are living in the co-land. That .com was not available when we started. So we are people3.co. You can email us at info@people3.co. We all get it. We're super responsive. And then all of our social handles are at people3co. So just the word people, the number 3, not written out, but just the actual number and co, and you will track us down. And then, we're super responsive and happy to talk with anyone about their needs. And if, you just want to explore what's possible, just talk it out with us. We're happy to do that. No commitment whatsoever, but we love just talking about what clients need and seeing if we can help. So.
Yeah. Well, Candace, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. It was great. Thank you so much.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.